they're going to know a lot about each other. They're going to know some tendencies. So it might come down to coaching, or it might come down to who just has the better players, which obviously Baylor does. Who do you have here going to the Final Four?
I have Baylor. I think this was a not an easy region for them, but they got some matchups that were probably better for them than if they had been placed in the West region. So I think they're going to come out of this region.
So that is it for the South region with Baylor going to the Final Four. Now for our last region that we're going to fill out is the Midwest region. It is Illinois as your 1 seed, then you have Houston as your 2, West Virginia as your 3, and Oklahoma State as your 4. A lot of interesting storylines here, obviously. You're going to have an Illinois team which just won the Big Ten, but then you're also going to have an Oklahoma State team in that same side of the bracket that has Cade Cunningham, and that team got hot late in the year. And then you're also going to have a Loyola Chicago team as your 8 seed, and then a Houston and West Virginia team on the bottom side of your bracket, along with Syracuse with Jim Boeheim in March can always pull an upset. But let's start at the top. I think it's safe to say Illinois will beat Drexel. What about Loyola Chicago and Georgia Tech?
This one was tough for me because I know it's a down year for them, but it's still not easy to win the ACC, which Georgia Tech was able to do. Obviously, they kind of got lucky with a couple of COVID opt-outs. I went with Loyola Chicago here though, just because I'm still kind of riding off that 2018 nostalgia. Right? Was it 2018 or 2017 when they went to the Final Four? 2018.
Yep. And their good luck charm sister Jean was announced today is traveling with the team. So who knows what that might do. Tennessee, Oregon State. Oregon State won the Pac-12. They're not that good of a team in my opinion. I think Tennessee should win this game pretty handily. What about you?
I agree. I think Oregon State it was kind of fluky for them to even win the Pac-12.
Now, Oklahoma State and Liberty could be an interesting game. Liberty is a very interesting team. They've played a lot of good basketball this year, but Oklahoma State's, I would say, is arguably playing their best basketball of the year and has, I think, one of the top 3 players in the country in Cade Cunningham. Who do you like here in this 4-13?
I like Oklahoma State. I do think both these teams are probably underseeded, though. I'm not sure how Oklahoma State ended up as a 4 seed. I also think Liberty kind of got not robbed here, but it was hard when you have bid stealers like Georgetown and Oregon State who got 12 seeds over them.
Yeah, for me, for Oklahoma State and their 4 seed, it was weird to me. As a West Virginia fan, I was shocked when we had the 3 in this region and they had the 4, considering they beat us twice in the last week of the regular season. But that's March, and we're just going to keep moving on. San Diego State, Syracuse. San Diego State won the Mountain West this year. They're a pretty good team, but Syracuse, you never know what you're going to get with that zone. I do think, though, San Diego State has the bodies, has the athletes that can beat the zone, spread it out, shoot the ball, get inside of it. And I have San Diego State winning, but who do you have?
I agree with you here. I kind of made this pick though with a little bit of I guess, justice for last year when they were going to be at 1 seed easily and kind of got robbed of that experience.
Yep. Then we have West Virginia and Warhead State. I'm just going to go ahead and pick West Virginia for myself, but who do you like in this matchup?
I like West Virginia too. I'm really high on them. I think they didn't struggle down the stretch, but they stumbled a little bit. But I think they'll pull it together in time for the tournament.
Clemson Rutgers. I think Rutgers, congratulations for making the tournament first time in a generation, it feels like. I think they're a good team. Clemson also really struggles to score the ball, and Rutgers can play defense and in the Big Ten. I just think, like Wisconsin, it's going to be good for them to get out of the Big Ten. So I like Rutgers here. Who do you like?
I like Rutgers as well. I think, kind of like you said, their record looks really bad, but it's also because they had to play Iowa, Michigan, and Illinois like 8 times this year. So it's just, you're not going to win many of those games.
Houston and Cleveland State. I don't know much about Cleveland State. I do know enough about Houston, though, and I think Houston will be good enough to beat Cleveland State. Now, moving on, you have Illinois and Loyola Chicago, your battle of who's supreme in the state of Illinois as your second round matchup in this region. I think Loyola Chicago is a really good team. I think Cameron Krutwig, versus Kofi Cockburn will be a really good matchup. Hopefully, we get to see it. But who do you like here, Loyola Chicago or Illinois?
I really like this Illinois team. I think they're peaking at the right time. So as much as I'd love to see another Loyola Chicago run, I just don't think it's going to happen this year.
Now for Tennessee and Oklahoma State, I really want to see an Io versus Cade Sweet 16. So I want Oklahoma State to win. But who do you like here, Tennessee or Oklahoma State?
I agree with you there. I think Oklahoma State's the better team. I haven't watched much Tennessee basketball this year, but from what I've seen, they don't really impress me. I think they kind of got lucky being a 5 seed as it is and playing Oregon State in the first round. So I think Cade Cunningham's going to be on his revenge tour and take them out pretty easily.
San Diego State and West Virginia. I think West Virginia shoots the ball really well, and I think if they can get hot against Morehead State, it could lead to some success down the road. Do you like your West Virginia or San Diego State?
I like West Virginia as well.
So Rutgers versus Houston for me is a very interesting matchup. I think Rutgers can pose a lot of problems to Houston, especially if Houston is unable to rebound the ball like they do on a consistent basis. But I would actually pick Rutgers here to make the Sweet 16 ahead of Houston because I just don't know how well Houston will shoot the ball down the stretch of these games. What do you think?
I personally had Houston, but I kind of agree with what all the stuff you said. Kind of in the polar opposite of Rutgers. Houston hasn't really been tested this year playing a bridge schedule, so you haven't got to see them against kind of the same caliber teams that um Rutgers is going to face. So I can see that game going either way, honestly.
I'm going to just write in Rutgers just so we can have some fun with this bracket coming down to the Sweet 16. So we have Illinois versus Oklahoma State and West Virginia versus Rutgers. Illinois versus Oklahoma State might be one of the games of the year. I'm going to go with the Cowboys though. I'm high on this Oklahoma State team. I got to see them play in person a couple weeks ago, and they are quick. And even without Cade Cunningham and Likely in that game, they were really good. But I could also see Illinois winning the national championship. So who do you like here, Illinois or Oklahoma State?
I personally picked Illinois just because, like I said earlier, I think they're peaking at the right time. Well, both these teams are, but I think Illinois, when they're at their best, is one of the best teams in the country.
Now for West Virginia and Rutgers. West Virginia's biggest problem has been their lack of defense. So I'm not sure if Rutgers will be able to take advantage of that, but I'm also not sure if West Virginia will be able to stop them. So who do you like here, West Virginia or Rutgers?
I like West Virginia. Like I said, I'm really high on this team. I think they'll get to the Elite Eight pretty easily.
Now in the Elite Eight for this region, we have Illinois and West Virginia. As a West Virginia fan, I really want to pick West Virginia. I just don't think we can do it defensively. So I'm going to go with Illinois making it to the Final Four. What do you have?
Like you said, I don't know that the defense is fully there for West Virginia, and that's not one thing you want to be short of when you're playing against Illinois.
So there we have it for our Midwest region with Illinois making their Final Four. So